Start.
Okay.
So every time we come back from a break, you're good.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Slippery Rock Student Government 2026 Spring Election Candidate Debate. I am Reagan Chinesky, and I am the current parliamentarian of the Student Government Association, and I will be the moderator for today's debate. During this debate, we will be hearing from all candidates for the 6 SRSGA Executive Board positions. For the contested position this year, which is VP of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, we will be holding a structured debate. With that, each candidate will have the opportunity to make opening and closing statements and respond to the questions that address key issues facing our student body. For the remaining 5 positions that are uncontested, we will be conducting a Q&A session with those candidates. The first session will be of the President, VP of Student and Academic Affairs, and VP of Finance. The second session will be a VP of Internal Affairs and VP of Student Outreach. I ask that all candidates respect the time limits and debate rules we have established, and that our audience remains attentive and courteous throughout the debate. The goal of today's debate is to help voters make informed decisions about who will best represent you this upcoming year. With that, let's begin with our candidates of VP of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. We have 3 new candidates with us today. They all will be given 1-minute opening statements and allowed 1 minute to respond to each question, followed by rebuttal to each candidate's response. With that, we will start with Chris.
Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Brown. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I am a junior here right now. I'm going to be a senior in the fall, studying business management with a minor in human resources. My current position in SGA is a College of Business senator, and with that we kind of just talk to the dean. We report back on what the dean says to the Senate and just make sure like everything for business is going swell. I'm pretty responsible on campus. I have a CA position, so I'm kind of monitoring about 50 or so kids, my little ducklings as I call them. And I kind of just am for the people, and that's what I'm here to show everyone.
Now we will turn to Ruby.
Hello, my name is Ruby Chahal, and I will be a junior in this upcoming fall semester. I am a history major with a minor in international affairs. And currently, I serve on the Honors College Diversity Subcommittee, where we work to create and execute diversity events throughout the semester and educate students on many different topics and cultures. I also serve as the Public Relations Chair for the Equal Rights Amendment Advocates, which is a club on campus that works to raise awareness for women's issues, as well as performs acts of service to help women around the world. And I'm here to run for Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging.
Thank you, Ruby. Now we will turn to DiMaggio.
I'm DiMaggio Locanti. I'm a secondary education English major. I will be a junior next semester. Yes, fall of 27. No, I'm sorry, fall of 26. I am currently a senator of education. We talk to the dean, not only represent students of education, but also represent students on campus. I'm also the president of our Black Action Society. I am a mentor for Jumpstart, ambassador for Rock Teach, facilitator for our diversity dialogues, and also a peer leader for First Seminar. And I'm currently running for the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging for next fall. Yes.
Thank you. With that, we'll move into our first question. Chris, how will you ensure SGA remains neutral and inclusive to all students? And what specific initiatives would you implement to create the neutral and inclusive environment for all students and members of the SRSGA?
I feel like being neutral is subjective, and the way I would do it is just kind of by listening to, all of my students that are coming to me and just kind of giving them a voice to shine on campus. Because a lot of students here feel very unheard and feel very, shadowed and cornered. So what I would do is just kind of project my voice as theirs so we could all have an equal opportunity here.
Thank you, Chris. We will now hear a rebuttal from Ruby.
Chris, you made great points about what you would implement and how students need to not feel like they're being hidden in the shadows, and I think that's a great way to look at it. And I also think I will go about things in a very similar way and try and really create a partnership type relationship between the SGA and the student body so that we're really hearing from every single student, so that we can include the entire student body and every single diverse student on campus in that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. We will now hear from DiMaggio.
Absolutely. You said a lot of things that we implemented that you want to implement is something that this position calls for. You say like neutrality is subjective. There's also times where you have to make sure you feel heard. One of the biggest parts about this position is equity, and being able to, not everything is equal, but it's going to be equitable for people because different people start at different points in life. And different people have different advantages along with disadvantages. So I think it's something that's the greatest part about this position is being able to bring that for people, and like you said, being able to have them heard and not hidden in the shadows, and being able to be that voice in the conversation. Exactly. Yes.
Thank you, DiMaggio. We will now hear from Ruby on the same question.
I plan to keep SGA welcoming, fair, and inclusive by really focusing on representation, transparency, and engagement with all of the students. Like I said before, I really plan to actively reach out, and especially reach out to different student groups and organizations so that I can get the best idea of what the student body actually wants to see, and really make sure that student voices are heard in SGA discussions and decisions consistently. I will also prioritize fairness and definitely create opportunities for students to be able to participate, whether that's through open meetings, feedback surveys, or collaborative events. My main goal is to make sure, like I said, that all of the students at Slippery Rock have a place at Slippery Rock.
Thank you, Ruby. We will now hear a rebuttal from DiMaggio and then Chris.
Absolutely. So you said that you want to be able to reach out and have transparency on it, and I think that's something that's a huge part of this position. I just very curious about how you're kind of going to make it fair, like what does fairness look like to you? Because fairness is subjective, and like I mentioned before, that the big part of our position that we're running for is equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion, belonging. So it's just kind of being able to make that happen. You mentioned some things that you're ready to implement. I'm just curious on how you would be looking to make that happen.
Thank you, DiMaggio. We will now hear from Chris.
So I agree with pretty much everything you said with the transparency and reaching out to student groups. I think that's a perfect execution of what we should be doing here. Honestly, I don't have any questions. I feel like you explained it pretty well, so I don't really have a rebuttal for that.
Thank you, Chris. We will now ask DiMaggio the same question.
Can you repeat the question one more time? I apologize.
Yes, of course. How will you ensure SGA remains neutral and inclusive to all students? And what specific initiatives would you implement to create that neutral and inclusive environment for all students and members of the SRSGA?
The way I would create neutrality in SGA, along with the student body, would just be able to, so as we have representatives and senators in different positions between different colleges, but also, like I mentioned before, is partnership. I'm not unfamiliar with partnership as I'm president of Black Action Society. We've partnered with many different people in being able to create that inclusive environment and saying, not only do I got you, but you also got me. So we're able to create that bond, we're able to create that connection and that comfort in being able to do that very thing. That's a big part of our position. So being able to have that connection between SGA and knowing that we represent not only your group, but also your body and your people and the people of Slippery Rock, and being able to have that on campus as well.
Thank you, DiMaggio. We will now hear a rebuttal from Chris and then Ruby.
I think that was very well stated. I've seen you personally like execute everything that you've been saying, so I also don't have a rebuttal for that either.
Now on to Ruby.
I like everything you said about partnerships, you know, being involved, and I think that's all very important. I'm going to spin back to your equity point of view and just say that I think that I would definitely stay neutral in a sense that I would be open to all perspectives and creating solutions that benefit the entire community. And then accessibility is also a big part of that balance. So I definitely make sure that events, conversations, and resources are welcoming and very easy for everyone to engage with, because my goal is to lead in a way that's fair, transparent, and inclusive, and really just to make sure that every student feels welcomed here.
Thank you, Ruby. With that, we'll move on to our next question. Chris, how would you work with student organizations and campus partners to address concerns from underrepresented students while ensuring SGA initiatives remain accessible to the entire student body?
So the way I would go about that is to just kind of organize like support groups and kind of have students have like very open access to these conversations instead of them feeling outside of the conversation. I want everybody to be able to say their piece, whether that be a survey, whether that be a, open dialogue conversation, or, anything of the sort. So I would just kind of organize a lot of meetings between, partnerships and organizations. I would bring the organizations to us for collaborative events and just have like a lot of guest speakers and a lot of partnerships.
Thank you, Chris. We will now hear a rebuttal from Ruby.
I think that what you're saying is very, very good, and we should definitely be working with the organizations. I think just one thing that I specifically would definitely try and push for is more of making the organizations, the clubs, and students feel comfortable, feel comfortable enough with us so that we're not having to go, or they're not having to go find us to handle the issues. We more are so involved that we already know, and we're coming to them rather than they are coming to us with their issues.
Thank you, Ruby. We will now hear from DiMaggio.
Absolutely, that brings up a good point. Definitely being able to have them feel comfortable enough to be able to get to us, and going to your point is making sure like the open dialogues are there, but being able to have the almost like safe and comfortable spot. Like this is for everybody. This is things that this will be beneficial for you to learn, and being able to learn and being able to get that different perspective for what they have.
Thank you, DiMaggio. We will now hear from Ruby on the same question.
I want to make sure that I'm representing the entire student body in all that I do in this position. And I really think that one of the best ways to do that is by going through the clubs and organizations. Because I'm sure you can think it's impossible for one person to speak with every single student on campus as much as we wish we could do that. So the best way to really go about getting all the diverse perspectives that we need to complete this job is by going into the multiple clubs and organizations that we have on campus with all these different diverse perspectives included in them, and really going to them and being involved, staying connected, and working with the student body to hear what the students want.
Thank you, Ruby. We will now hear a rebuttal from DiMaggio and then Chris.
I think everything you said was great. I don't have too much to say. Just one thing, just being able to understand the roles and boundaries of working with different organizations. And I think it's something that's extremely important, and especially very prevalent right now, is just being able to understand where the student body is at with safety. How do you feel comfortable in this, like with this happening, and being able to represent SGA and along with the student body in the same sense, especially things that have gone on this year alone. Just being able to represent and being able to push for everybody and allow safety.
Thank you, DiMaggio. We will now hear from Chris.
Yes, I also think that was very well stated. My question for you though is, how would you make sure people will feel connected to you, and how would you go about that? Especially, with the events of this past year, I feel like it is a very important time, like DiMaggio said, to really build that connection and really just have that space that people feel comfortable and not feel isolated about saying their opinions and speaking their minds, because this is a very, different part of, PA, and a lot of people have differing opinions, different mindsets, and, different upbringings. So I was just curious on how you would make that connection relevant.
Thank you, Chris. We will now hear from DiMaggio on the question that was asked.
I apologize again. I'm sorry. It's going through different, like
It's
six
okay.
different times. Can you repeat it one more time?
Of course. How would you work with student organizations and campus partners to address concerns from underrepresented students while ensuring SGA initiatives remain accessible to the entire student body?
The way I would be able to go about having represent SGA properly, but along with also being to represent underrepresented communities, is being able to be first being personable, being myself, being able to, hey, I see you and I'm able to help you. I see you and I hear you. So what can I do for you as someone that's in that position? Because I'm not only in that position just for fun, I'm in the position to create my voice at the table that the discussions and the decisions happen. And that's something that's extremely big. So being able to be personable with the people is one-on-one. Like, I'm not just this position. I want to help you. And now I'm in a position to be able to help you as anything that's under the entire umbrella of DEIB.
Thank you, DiMaggio. We will now hear a rebuttal from Chris and then Ruby.
I really like that a lot. My question for you is, how do you think you will be able to connect yourself to students who are, a little bit less, who resonate less with you? And that's what I want to know.
Thank you, Chris. We will now hear from Ruby.
I really like the way that you brought it to a personal level and really connected with it personally. That's something that matters very much. And I'm just going to swing back to some things that were said before in the other rebuttals, and I just want to say that personally, I think that balancing advocacy and neutrality, making it for everyone, really starts with the understanding that advocacy for inclusion does not mean taking sides or anything like that. It really just means making sure that everyone has a fair opportunity to be heard and supported. So as Vice President of DEIB, I would work to advocate for underrepresented groups by bringing attention to their needs and working on initiatives that address the barriers they may face, but at the same time, staying neutral and really making sure that everyone has the things that they need.
Thank you, Ruby, and thank you, candidates, for the constructive discussion. We will now move into your closing statements. We will first hear from Chris.
All right, well, I hope everybody liked what I had to say. I think I would bring a lot to the table as the Vice President of DEIB. I come from a lot of different places. I'm from all over, so I have a lot of different connections with a lot of different people, and I just want to bring those connections, like I stated before, just to the front of the table. Just have this initiative to, show people who are less represented, because I feel a little bit less represented at this school. So I just want to give other people the opportunity to feel represented, and I wouldn't take this job lightly. I would take it very serious, and it wouldn't be a joke to me.
Thank you, Chris. We will now hear from Ruby.
I think we had a great discussion here with my fellow candidates, and I wish everyone here the best of luck. But I would just like to say that SRU is our home, and everyone deserves to feel comfortable at home. As Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, I will work hand in hand with organizations and the student body to really ensure that every student feels welcome to be themselves, enjoy their favorite activities, explore new interests, and truly have an unforgettable college experience. I'm committed to listening, taking action, and building a campus where diversity isn't just acknowledged, but celebrated and empowered. I want you to feel like you belong at SRU because you do. And remember, there is no SR without you.
Thank you, Ruby. We will now turn to DiMaggio.
Absolutely. This has been a fantastic discussion. Being able to go back and forth with different candidates, being able to get different perspectives. But also understand is, who do you see yourself voting for? It comes down as being able to be personable, being able to understand you. I don't know everything, but I'll guarantee you one thing. I'll be able to figure it out for you. This is something that isn't just a lighthearted thing as though it's all fun. No, it's serious talks. It's conversations that you don't want to have, but the ones you don't want to have are the most necessary ones to have. Those are the ones that create change, and those are the ones that you're able to make the most impact with. So if you don't feel represented, come talk to me. We'll figure it out.
Thank you, and I appreciate you three showing up here today to participate in the debate and taking the time to answer these questions that were formed by the SRSGA 2026 Election Committee. That said, we will be right back for the uncontested positions of President, VP of Student and Academic Affairs, and VP of Finance. Welcome back, everyone. Now we have the candidates for the uncontested positions of President, VP of Student Academic Affairs, and VP of Finance. We will begin with our candidate for President, Connor Pavlico.
Hi everybody, my name is Connor Pavlico. I am a rising senior. I major in political science with a concentration in public policy. Thank you so much for having me today. I am the current president of SRSGA, so my responsibilities include overseeing the executive board and the Senate of SRSGA, as well as meeting with faculty and administration and overall being an advocate for the student body. I am also the Honors College Vice President. I am a member of the Alpha Sigma Phi fraternity off campus, and then I am the Debate Society Treasurer and a Community Assistant in Building E.
Thank you, Connor. We will now move into our candidate for Student and Academic Affairs, Emma Williams.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma Williams. I just want to say thank you again for letting me run for this position. I am so excited to be doing this again. I am the current Vice President of Student Academic Affairs. I'm also a CA in Rhodes Hall. I am Vice President of the Phi Sigma Sigma sorority, and I'm also the Diversity Chair for the Honors College. I am a middle-level English education major with a minor in special ed. And some of my responsibilities as the current Vice President of Student Academic Affairs is reviewing the student life survey, which is going on right now. We also did one in the past fall, and getting the data and making sure that we create positive change for this campus. I'm so excited to revamp these student life surveys again next semester and for the next year, and just get more data and help out our students and make this the best university possible.
Thank you, Emma. We will now move into Thomas Ferlina, who is running for VP of Finance.
Hi everyone, my name is Tom Ferlino. I want to say thank you for letting me run for this position. I'm a rising junior and I am a math major with minors in statistics as well as business administration with a concentration in actuarial sciences. Currently in the SGA, I am an at-large senator as well as the co-chair for the Finance Committee, where I help out with any needs that the current VP of Finance, Jada Johnston, has, such as making the finance report or looking over budgets for the upcoming year, anything along those lines. Outside of that, I'm also the treasurer of Math Club, a part of the Debate Society, and a member of Gamma Iota Sigma.
Thank you, Thomas. With that, we will move into our first question for Connor. This job requires you to work with the Executive Board, the Senate, and the overall SRU campus community. What plan of action will you take for this upcoming year to ensure that you work effectively with all these groups to achieve these goals?
That's a really good question, yeah. So following the model of what we did this year, every week we meet with our executive board to ensure that all of the positions are running smoothly and that they meet the needs of the current student body. Additionally, we meet every week with the Senate, 1 week formally to pass business and 1 week informally to make sure that all of our senators are doing well in their positions and looking at ways that we can improve to overall achieve the goal of advocating for the student body. So continuing that model of overseeing the executive board and overseeing the Senate and making sure that their goals and their actions properly reflect on what the student body needs is one way that I will be doing that. To look at the overall SRU community, every student here is equally important and should be advocated for. One way that we are doing this now is every 2 weeks I meet with President Riley. We have a pretty long agenda. It is always very meaningful to be able to sit down with admin and faculty to properly advocate for students. That's not a meeting that I take lightly. I think it's something that is majorly important. Talking to students regularly is also something that is on the agenda always, to make sure that we are listening to students and that we are properly getting their message out. Working kind of alongside what Emma just said, to look at data is also a huge thing, a huge goal that I made last time running for this position. So to continue to look at data and see where the needs of the students are and then advocate that to the proper people is another way to get that work done.
Thank you, Connor. We will now move into our next question for you. The SGA often must respond to student concerns that arise quickly or unexpectedly. Can you give an example of how you would prioritize issues when multiple student groups are asking for action at the same time? And what factors would guide your decision making?
Yeah, absolutely. So fast and efficient work is something that I pride myself and my executive board and my Senate on doing. I think that there are a lot of times where you feel like everything is coming at you all at once, but it is important that even when you feel like there are multiple students, multiple student organizations, or even multiple other faculty, admin, and staff issues piling up on your desk, it's important that you equally and thoroughly navigate every single issue. Just to kind of go for an example, I mean, the past couple of weeks have been very hectic. You have the student life survey running and you have elections coming up, but you also have all of those other student issues that need fixed. It's important that you are thorough and that you exemplify good leadership while also acknowledging the fact that you are getting busy and that it is, moving into a stressful period of time, but that is not an excuse to not be thorough with your work. So making sure that we hold everybody to the standard that we're doing good work and we're fast and we're efficient so we have time to see every single student issue is how I would guide that. The factors that would guide my leadership, they're all pretty much the same every single time. I think every student deserves to be heard, every student deserves to be understood, and every student deserves to be advocated for. And those are really just the factors that I take into consideration when I hear a student issue, and those will be the ones that I continue to look for.
Thank you, Connor. We'll now move into your closing statement.
Thank you. I've done this position for the past year, and over time we've seen students grow in comfortability with moving towards advocating to SGA. We've seen a drastic increase in student organizations coming into our office to talk to us and to talk with our other executive boards. And being in this position, I want to make sure that every single student is advocated for and into those proper channels to make sure that we're getting the best work done with the least amount of time it takes to do that possible. So with your vote, I will make sure that every single student at SRU is properly taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. We'll now move into our next candidate, which is Emma Williams. She is running for VP of Student and Academic Affairs. Oh, I'm sorry. Our first question for you is, academic concerns vary widely between colleges and majors. How would you ensure that the SGA is hearing and representing academic issues from students across the entire campus, not just those who are already engaged?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely hear a lot of academic concerns, especially being a student. I have my own concerns. A way that I would be able to advocate to make sure that students are getting the best academics and advising possible is I meet with the provost basically every other week. We talk a lot about academics, advising how we can make it better, what are we lacking, what are we doing well in, and just building upon that. Also, we made our student life survey now 2 surveys instead of 1 to get more data and more results. So right now we have the student life survey going on about academics and advising, which is concrete data that we will use and I will bring to the provost and multiple different staff members, faculty, and we're just going to basically build upon that and make sure that students are feeling that they are getting the best academics possible.
Thank you, Emma. Our second question for you is, since you are the current VP of Student and Academic Affairs, how do you take the results from the student life surveys and turn them into concrete, actionable changes that address the issues students are facing on campus? Is there anything that you would do differently now knowing what you know?
I think through having this position for a year will really help me move forward with it and build upon where I started. I was obviously very nervous to do a first survey, and everyone starts somewhere, but I think it went really well. We got over 10% of student body in our last survey, and we have those results. Currently, I'm working with Connor and our advisors to make change with parking and dining. Obviously, students saw changes last month, but we tried to fix that around and make our dining a little bit better for students. And same with parking, it is a huge issue that we are hearing, and we understand, we feel it too. So we're using all this data to hopefully create a different change and maybe see some different ways of transportation to help out students in the future.
Thank you, Emma. We will now move into your closing statement.
I just want to say thank you all again for giving me the opportunity to run for this position. I feel that it has helped me grow as an individual and also advocate for all the students that are here at SRU. I truly care about every student's opinion, which is why I love conducting surveys and making sure that our safety, our parking, our dining, our academics, everything as a whole is working well on this campus for students. Make sure you cast your vote on Wednesday on CORE, and have a great day.
Thank you, Emma. We will now move into our next candidate, Thomas Ferlino. As a reminder, Thomas is running for VP of Finance. With that, we will ask our first question, which is, in this role, you will oversee the committee that assesses club budgets. How will you ensure fairness across all club budgets?
Excuse me. So I will ensure fairness across all club budgets in a similar way that we do now. We ensure to go over them in committee. We kind of scrutinize, see exactly what it is they're asking and why they're asking it. I really want to make sure that each and every single student is represented fairly, and that can be done if you cast your vote for me as VP of Finance, and by, excuse me, with this, I will help. I will help put together a committee to make all budgets be assessed fairly.
Thank you, Thomas. Our second question for you is, when a club strongly disagrees with a funding decision made by the Finance Committee, how would you handle that situation while still upholding committee decisions in financial policy?
Yeah, so this can happen from time to time where clubs or organizations are maybe dissatisfied with the decision that we come up with. And so that just happens to be a discussion that either their president or their treasurer would need to have with myself. And over the past year as co-chair of the Finance Committee, I have been sort of mentored by the current VP of Finance on how to handle situations like this. I've had experience in certain situations like this, and I know exactly what needs to be done and the proper way to handle these types of situations.
Thank you, Thomas. We will now move into your closing statement.
So first off, I want to say thank you to everyone for letting me run. Over the past year, I have been the co-chair, as I've said previously, of the Finance Committee, where I've really learned just about everything there is to learn about the role of VP of Finance, and I've come to love it. It is a position that I admire greatly and I don't take lightly. I want to represent each and every single student on the Slippery Rock campus to the best of my ability, and the best way that I can do that is in this position. So because of that, I would like you to vote for me on CORE on April 8th through 10th. So thank you.
With that, we will be right back for the second session of uncontested positions. These positions will be VP of Internal Affairs and VP of Student Outreach. Welcome back for the last time. Here with me are the candidates for the uncontested positions of VP of Internal Affairs and VP of Student Outreach. We will begin with our candidate for VP of Internal Affairs, Gavin Wade.
Hello, I am Gavin Wade. I'm a sport management major. I'm currently a first-year senator on the student government. I am a member of the Sport Management Alliance, the Honors College, the American Marketing Association. I'm an intern with the football team and SRU Athletics as well.
Thank you, Gavin. We will now move into Allison Yanchak. She is running for VP of Student Outreach.
Hi, my name is Allison Yanchak. I will be a sophomore in the fall. I am a secondary ed history major. I am going to be the incoming treasurer of Student Pennsylvania State Education Association. I am a community assistant in Building E, and I am also in the Honors College where I am on the Health and Wellness Subcommittee.
Thank you, Allison. With that, we'll move into our first question for Gavin. How will you ensure that members of the Senate and Executive Board work effectively together, and what are some ways you would improve communication between the two?
Yeah, I think it's important to act as a barrier between the e-board and the senators of the SGA. I feel sending out, using different types of communication as well as verbal, in person, through email and stuff like that is a good way to bridge that barrier. I also feel that it is important for everyone to show up to our informal meetings as well as our formals. And I know we didn't have a lot of bonding events this year, but hopefully next year we will have more bonding events to fully connect the full student government as a whole and kind of bridge that gap between the e-board and the senators.
Thank you, Gavin. Our second question for you is, attendance, accountability, and communication are ongoing challenges in student organizations. What specific strategies would you use to maintain consistent participation and follow-through within the Senate?
Yeah, I think that it is important to understand that we are all human beings and we are busy students on campus. We are obviously very involved if we're in the SGA. We take initiative. So it is important to understand that we are all students, but we have to take accountability and use our Constitution to make fair between everyone through attendance and like our bylaws and stuff like that. So ensuring that the Constitution is upheld and students are doing their requirements for each week is the most important thing through the Senate.
Thank you. We will now move into your closing statement.
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to run for student government. Over the last year, I fell in love with the student government because of the bond that I have with not only the e-board but the Senate, and I feel that as the Vice President of Internal Affairs, this will be my job to kind of progress next year's senators into falling in love with the organization like I have been, and I'm blessed to be running for this position, and I cannot wait to work with our future and current senators and e-board.
Thank you, Gavin. We will now move into our next candidate, Allison. Allison is running for VP of Student Outreach. Allison, our first question for you is, in this role, it is vital that you have an understanding of social media and marketing platforms. How do you plan on engaging the student body, and how will you improve our social media presence and relationships with other clubs?
I think that's a really great question, and I think it's super important that all students are aware of the events that are going on. And their attendance is important because they have so much feedback and input that they can give to us. I think that engaging with the student body, both in person and on social media, is going to be the best way that we get their feedback and that we get them involved within SGA. I think that capitalizing off of resources like Instagram and the different social media platforms will be able to effectively communicate with them and advocate for what we have to offer to them. And to improve our social media presence and relations with other clubs, I think it's super important that I'm at events and communicating with these people and making them aware that we are a resource that they should use.
Thank you, Allison. Our second question for you is, how would you evaluate whether SGA outreach efforts are actually effective, and what changes would you make if student engagement numbers were lower than expected?
I think it's super important to use, again, social media to initially make that connection with our audiences and to make sure that they know what events are going on. And then at the events, if we have lower attendance than what's expected, I think making the adjustments with what we are using and making sure that there are alternative means of outreach, as well as talking with these students in person and seeing if what they are seeing, what they aren't seeing, and just making sure that we make the changes where they're needed.
Thank you. We will now move into your closing statement.
Thank you so much, guys, for having us here, both WSRU-TV and for the e-board that is currently here. I'm super excited for next semester and getting involved in SGA, and I think we're going to have a great year together.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you so much to all the candidates that showed up today, although they had uncontested positions. We really appreciate you coming out and taking the time to answer these questions that were formed by the election committee. With that brings us to the conclusion of today's debate and Q&A session. So as we close out today, I want to personally thank all the candidates for coming here and sharing their ideas and perspectives for next year with all of us. Your engagement today has demonstrated a genuine commitment to serving our student body. I would also like to thank the election committee for creating thoughtful questions and for the audience's undivided attention here today. Additionally, I would also like to thank WSRU-TV and their team for helping us make this debate happen today. We could not have done it without you. Lastly, as a reminder, voting opens on court this Wednesday, April 8th at 8 a.m. and closes this Friday, April 10th at 5 p.m. and every vote counts. So please make sure your voice is heard in shaping the future of our campus, and best of luck to all our candidates this week.